Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook. So you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one size fits all protocols, just real answers, deep rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to our show. Good afternoon, Allison.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I am great, and thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk on a very near and dear topic to my heart, which is postpartum fitness and wellness. And Allison is a personal trainer who does specialize in custom pre and postnatal fitness. So I'm so curious to hear your thoughts, share this with the world a little bit. So let's dive in and tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you got started in this.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Like you just said, pre and postnatal fitness specialist, I guess you could say. So I am a personal trainer, but my niche is those awesome moments, while you're pregnant, soon after pregnancy, and postpartum and beyond. And my thing I always say is once you're postpartum, you're always postpartum. So
Yep.
I train many women, perimenopause and menopause because you have a pelvic floor and it's been taxed through your pregnancies and births and all of that. So it's super important. And it's like my passion. I could talk about it all day.
And I think it's a really underutilized topic, especially pelvic floor. And I'm glad you mentioned even perimenopause, menopause, because people really underestimate how much pelvic floor factors into their entire well-being and health and, pain. Um, but we're viewed it as just normal, right? So tell us a little bit more on, you know, who you typically work with and what they typically, come in wanting to do.
Sure. I think that as moms, we are constantly, as women, we're constantly taking care of the house and our spouses and our kids and everybody else. And we frequently neglect ourselves. And, we are crucial, right? In the whole chain. So a lot of women are coming to me and they're frustrated and they don't recognize their body, whether they're pregnant or early postpartum or even years after. Why do I have this pooch? Why can I not lose these X amount of pounds? I've tried this, I've tried that. All the things I used to do don't work anymore. And my whole thing is strong, not skinny, because most of this generation that I train, which is like 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s and beyond, it was just sort of, shrinking yourself, right? It was the 100-calorie packs, the slim fast diet, and just how skinny and small can I be? And really, muscle is what you want, right? That's that toned look that everybody wants, and how to get there and how to rewire your brain to eat more of the right things: fiber, protein, water. Those are my three big non-negotiables.
Mhm.
And lifting heavy things. And, we're scared to look bulky or, I'm going to lift like my husband. I'm going to look like my husband. And how is lifting more and eating more going to get me to lose the weight? And it's like magic. So once it clicks, it's just like a beautiful thing. And like, those are the moments that like I live for, as a trainer. And, I'm not cookie cutter, right? I don't have an app. Um, I'm not like a trainer at the gym that you just come in for an hour, then you go home. I really think of myself as like an accountability coach and like partner along the way. Again, like we're taking care of everybody else. I had really difficult pregnancies. I had really traumatic births, two very different births. I have two children. I have two boys, a 5 and 8 year old, and someone to really, walk you through it and to create programs that fit into your life. Like fitness has to fit. So I don't have one single client that has the same program as another client. This is not, an app that you can pull up or a YouTube video. This is all me. All the videos are of me. And it's like, are you doing nothing right now and you want to work out twice a week for 30 minutes? That's awesome because that is more than you're currently doing and it's going to get you results because it's more than you're already doing. So I have people that are that are old D1 athletes that are like, sky's the limit. And I have people that haven't picked up a dumbbell since, before their wedding or something, and it's been 20 years. So there really is no wrong time to start. And there really is no program that I cannot customize really to like get them feeling good and strong in their bodies again.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think women often, particularly moms, blow off everything as well, I just have kids or I'm pregnant or whatever it is. It's like your body can feel good, even if you're a mom, a working mom, a pregnant mom, it's like it can feel better, right? Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. In pregnancy, there are still some things that are out of our control, but that's besides the point. But what sort of things are you doing with your clients typically that you see kind of the best results from?
That's an awesome question. We talk about everything. I mean, I think we go through like their daily habits and like what that looks like. And I think where you can get so overwhelmed because the information is just flooding in from everywhere, from
Mhm.
Instagram, from this site, from that site. Do keto, eat protein an hour after your meal, before your meal, take creatine, take collagen, do this, don't do that. And it's so overwhelming. So I think it's just looking at where you are and making those small micro changes. That's like what I live for, and that's what I'm about. Like in each program we start to make a couple of changes. Like, are you not drinking enough water? Like, let's just start there. Like, give me a week of solid X amount of ounces of water a day, right? I have some women that alcohol is a thing for them, and I never cut anything out. How many alcoholic beverages are you having a week? Okay, let's cut that down by one or two. Small changes over time, because as a mom and as just someone running a house, there's so many things and it's so overwhelming. So the people that have, the best results are doing like the small things consistently. And the things that we sort of talked about, in their program slowly over time, just maybe adjusting their breakfast. Maybe they're not eating, right? You kept the kids out the door before you know it, it's 10, 11 o'clock. You haven't put a single thing in your mouth. All right, well, let's start there. Start at the beginning of your day. Like, what are our breakfasts going to look like? And then we have checklists, right? I'm helping hold you accountable to like these small little changes that really add up. They're like, oh, like, well, what is that handful of chips really do? Well, a handful of chips a couple times a day over X amount of weeks, over X amount of months does make a difference. And I also think my big thing is the pelvic floor, right? So we're not really taught how to lift properly and when to inhale and when to exhale in order to protect the pelvic floor. And it's like crucial, crucial, crucial. And it's kind of for most of my girls will say, oh, that's like the opposite of what I always do, right? Because it doesn't feel natural. To get to the point where the breath work feels natural and you can really pick up any dumbbell and do any exercise, I think is really important. Like you said when you started, like these things like pain or jumping and peeing and all these things, they're common. They're not normal.
Mhm.
And so, I do work with a lot of pelvic floor therapists also. I will never pretend to be a physician. And so we do a lot of referring for that. But it's a lot of in conjunction with what I do as well. It's all ties together. And everything we do, they cut you open, have a C-section, send you home, don't lift anything over 10 pounds. Okay, well, the baby plus the car seat is well over that. So how do we do that functionally, right? So that's what all of it is about, is can we take motherhood into 40s, 50s, and beyond and be able to function with a great core and back and pelvic floor.
Yeah, the guidelines are always funny. Or even during pregnancy. Don't lift anything over, I think
Right.
30. They said it's like, okay, well my butt.
Okay, well, I got the kid. Wait, how is he supposed to get into the car?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just make it happen.
Yeah, but that's also, I mean, with so many women fearing getting bulky too, it's like you got a 30-pound toddler you're having to pick up, like, or the groceries. If you're like me, we're bringing in all of them at one time.
Oh,
All of them.
I
It's
knew
like,
we would
let
get
me
along.
strong for that and my kid. And also it looks, it's nice to look good too. But
Yes.
it's really important. I think people really, when they hear women, right? When they hear weights, ooh, it's a little scary. And it's like, this goes so much more than just beyond looks. It's like how you function and operate, how you can get on the floor and play with your kids, the energy, the endurance you have. It's like the energy you have. It goes so much further. And my little fun fact that I always like is like you burn more calories at rest too when you have more muscle. So when you lift weights, you actually literally metabolically burn more calories doing nothing,
I always
and it
say
doesn't mean you have to have big, capped shoulders. I mean, if that's your goal, awesome. Oh my God,
that.
all the time at the gym, people would be like, well, I just want to look like you.
Right.
Okay. Well, at the time, I was like, well, I lift 5 days a week. you know,
Yeah,
and eat, at the time I was eating like 2,600 calories. They're like, what? You know,
exactly.
it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, people are always scared. They're like, oh, I thought you'd be really big and bulky.
Yes, that's
I
why
trying. I'm like, I'm trying. It's
I'm
really hard.
trying really hard.
Keep
That's my
trying.
goal, to look as bulky as possible.
At
It's
the time was.
and again, we don't, it's the knowledge, right? It's just the knowledge that, it's no fault of their own. It's what we've heard always, that the weight room's for the guys or whatever, but we don't make enough hormones in order to look like that. It just doesn't happen. And that muscle is exactly what you said. It's money in the bank, and like the fragility of the older generations is something that our generation doesn't want, right? We don't want to be like our parents, our grandparents when they're breaking hips and things like that. Well, you need muscle, right? You need muscle tone and you need function. So it's like so important. And I will always like, when I post or do something and I have like these big muscles, I'm like, I have worked
Yeah.
20 years to look like this, and I still don't even look that, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is
Yeah.
not going to happen to you like in 6 months, promise. Like it cannot, like, this is insane. So yeah, it takes it, but I think it's good. I think it's good to talk about it. I think even from when I had kids, like I went through my pelvic floor journey and all this trouble I went through, and it was like just starting to be talked about. And that's why I'm doing what I do, because
Mhm.
like I was my own cheerleader, my own accountability person, and like teaching myself all these things. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I can do this. Like I can help people do this.
Mhm.
The more and more that people talk about it and do things like what you're doing, and feeling like, I think having that control back, feeling like you're so out of control, right? Like the baby like stretched you in ways, you look at yourself, you don't recognize yourself, and lifting weights or having control over what you're having for breakfast or how many ounces that you're drinking, it feels like you're sort of taking that power back. It feels good.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned water too and small habits because I think we really underutilize the power of just, that 1% better every day. Like what are those few habits? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I know when clients used to join my program too, it's like, I have to do all of it perfectly all at once, or I'm not. And it's like, that's not what this is about. It's about longevity, not burning out because you've done that.
I
Why
don't
would,
want you to do that, because if you
yeah,
do what I do right now, it is going to last you 3 weeks. And then
yeah.
you're going to be like, I'm not doing this. So how do we make it sustainable? And I always say to people, like, I can get you to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, but like, it's probably not going to happen. And like, that's not realistic. And that's not going to take us long term. Like, you want to look a certain way for the rest of your life, not just for your trip in 2 months.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Now I've changed my marketing a lot where I'm not just a weight loss, but at the time it would be like, yep, have a trip. That's why I'm hiring you. I'm like, mm-mm. I'm like,
To
because
me, it's a
most
huge red
women
flag.
need to reverse diet. As you mentioned, they're under eating, not
Mhm.
moving. And it's like, we actually have to rebuild your metabolism so you can eat a lot more calories. And
It's
even
so
if you lose weight, you're not going to rebound after the trip because we know you're going to typically overeat, and that's okay during the trip too, right? So it's like, get your body and your metabolism to be healthy, which many women are, especially moms, not intentionally under eating because they're skipping meals, they cut their kids first, they're eating rush, just out the
Eating the
door.
crust, the
Yeah.
goldfish on the car floor. Like, I get it. Like, right? I totally get it. And that's really hard to rewire, because they're like, wait, you want me to eat this much, and
So
I'm gonna lose weight?
it's
And
a
I'm like,
mind.
but like you said, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but like, we need to rewire, right? Like, your gut, like, are you going to the bathroom? Like, what is happening? How can you go to the bathroom when you are eating peanut butter and jelly crust and Cheez-Its? And it's not, again, you're taking care, like you said, we talked about, like, it's 11 o'clock, you haven't eaten. You're not even hungry. You don't even know you were hungry. But we have to, like, like, start to, they can't, like you were saying, like, I can't believe how much I eat. They're like, you eat that? I'm like, yes, I eat that all the time.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest breakthroughs. I think you mentioned it. One of the first things that working with women is changing the narrative of how much you can eat, how much you can move, and how, good you can look doing that. But I think that's one of the hardest things to shift the paradigm for. So that
Absolutely.
when
We
you
have been wired
can,
so hard for so long.
yeah.
And it's like coming back a little bit, we're hearing that narrative a little bit more. I'm sure you know what I mean. And it's like frustrating, because I'm like, But I just try to take it like one day at a time and one client at a time. Like if I can
Mhm.
change one person's mentality and like they really like it clicks, you know, when you get that like click aha with someone, it's like worth it. It's worth all the like stuff that you got to go through.
All the trust the process.
Oh, right, exactly. Trust me.
It's a hard one, but I get it. I was there once too, right? I was eating 1,200 calories, doing cardio
Me
7 days a
too.
week.
Me
Why
too.
I had hormone
On the
issues.
elliptical for 45 minutes.
Yup, hating my life, but still was like, this is gonna get me to wrong. I kept like, I just remember looking in the mirror being like, you work out 7 days a week, girl? No, you don't look like that.
Right,
But
right,
being like, what the hell?
right.
Um, but there's a time and place for that. But you don't
And
have
I
to kill yourself
I
doing
think it's also like for mom, like a big thing I talk about, like another topic is like you don't need an hour and a half
oh,
or an hour, right? One of my big things is something is better than nothing, right?
oh,
Like I typically will take a 40-minute outdoor walk like 5 times a week. Now, many times I can't get the 40 minutes. I only have 20. And most people will be like, screw it. I'm not gonna do it. 20-minute walk is better than a 0-minute walk. People are like, like I often program 30-minute workouts for moms because that's what
Yep.
they have time for and that's the stage in their life they're at. And they're like, I feel bad. Am I gonna get results with that? I'm like, absolutely. Like
Mhm.
we work hard, we work fast, and like you don't need to spend hours in the gym like these gym bros who are in their 20s and can afford to spend that much time in the gym. There was a time when I could too. I could spend 45 minutes on the elliptical. I cannot spend that much time. So I
Mhm.
always say, like, just because your schedule is so busy and your kids' sleep schedules are crazy and your work schedule, like you can find a small amount of time, like you scroll your phone for that long, and you don't need that. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like those 20-minute workouts twice a week, again, like we were saying, how many times during the month? How many times?
Yep.
When you look at your year, when you look back at your year, you just had that many workouts. If you hadn't started, you would have had zero.
Oh, mm-hmm. 100%. That's a huge, huge important shift. That all or nothing mindset is plagues people. But that's one of the, I love that you mentioned that. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, you know what? I got on the floor with my kid and did some bridges and a plank while they were crawling around or doing tummy time. And I was like, this is all I got. Not even time wise, it's capacity wise. I think we really underestimate that too. Like sometimes we always blame it on time. Capacity is also a big thing, right? Sometimes energetically we want to doom scroll, we want to do other things instead of, moving. And I get it.
Absolutely. That is a real thing. That
Oh
is
yeah.
and exactly. And you'll 9 times out of 10 always feel better.
Hmm.
And I just say, like, you got to kind of suck it up and do the hard for just a little bit. And then you realize, like, oh, I do feel so much better after. And so you chase that after feeling, but you don't know till you to kind of get there. But yeah, like a couple of bridges and push-ups, a couple air squats, like in a little bit of a break, like get those endorphins going and just it feels better mentally.
Hmm.
And you
I
did it. You checked the box, you moved your body for as much as you could that day. Okay,
yeah.
great.
And celebrate that because I think oftentimes we often say, well, I didn't get the 30-minute workout. I only got 20. It's like, girl, you got
That's
20 minutes in. Hell yeah. And it's like it's always as women, it feels like never enough. I only did this. I only
everything.
And it's like, and also meet yourself where you're at. Like, if you know, like, you can't commit to 6 days a week workouts, first of all, you don't need to do that. Don't tell yourself after week you keep failing that, then you feel bad about yourself. You're like, well, screw it. I can't commit to things anyways. Then you make a story about yourself, about how you can't commit to any. It's like, no, girl, you just have to find what works for your life. And you know what? When I went from working out 6 days or 5 days a week to working out 2 times a week for 20 minutes, and that was what I committed damn to, and 30-minute walks, and that felt good. And then when I felt like I had a little more energy, I did three.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly. I always say I do 10-week programs and I always say I'm like, what can we commit to for 10 weeks? This doesn't mean in 10 weeks from now, we can't change that, add or subtract. When someone gives me like the 6 day a week or the 5 day a week, I'm like,
What, but they're
no,
doing like nothing right now. It's like,
no, right. No, like, no. And it's okay. And like, cause they're thinking they're telling you what I want to hear, you know what I mean? Or like what they need to do because I do something or their neighbor does, Sally does this. I'm like, no, like we will be, it's that 1%, right? It's that 1%. And it also depends where they're coming from. Some people are coming from,
yeah.
Where are you in your in these 10 weeks? Like, what is your child teething? It's
Oh,
like it just like it really just depends because 10 weeks from now, your life will look different. And this is just a chapter. And like I'm a 5:30 a.m.er right now. That's when I work out. If you're like, you're crazy. I'm like, it's not forever. My kids wake up at 6:30 and I want to be done by then. So I make sure my workout is done by 6:30. That's just what works for me in this chapter at my kids' ages. I'm gonna have teenagers before I know it, and they're gonna be sleeping till 10 o'clock. I'm not gonna have to get up that early, right? Everybody's different. My women who are in menopause or even beyond or retired, that looks different.
for
And
sure.
great. So I have to meet my clients where they are, but they should, I guess I just want people to know that something is better than nothing and you don't need hour workouts and like we don't have time for that. Like we just don't. Life is too crazy right now, for most people and the kids' doctor's appointments and this and that and school stuff and you will get results with the effort that you put in, no matter how you view it. But I also think what you said about how we never feel like it's enough, and that goes with everything, right? It's sad, like you never feel like you're doing enough, like after school, are my kids not like getting enough exercise? Or like, are they not, maybe I didn't make enough home cooked meal. Like we're always beating ourselves up,
Mhm.
and like it is enough. You are enough for them, and the exercise you're doing is enough. And like the extra water you drank for the past couple weeks, that's huge. Give
Mhm.
yourself a pat on the back, right? You weren't doing that a few weeks ago.
Mhm. 100%. And there's, I mean, just psychologically too, like you feel like you're winning, and that triggers dopamine that triggers, this this feeling of accomplishment, that I really can't stress enough, especially as moms, to rewire your brain. I feel like we grew up a lot with seeing our moms, I could be wrong, beating themselves up over everything, negative self-talk. And that's kind of been ingrained, right? And so it's like when you say rewiring the brain, this is really what it's about. It's not, oh, I'm rewiring to work out this many times a week and everything be perfect. It's like I'm rewiring myself for happiness, accomplishment, and with that, I will get results, right? It's not the chicken, it's like you don't do the workouts and then you suddenly get that. It comes from internally, you know what I mean? Um, and that's what carries on. And not to mention generationally, then your kids see that their talk
How
and
we're talking about, we like could hear our parents doing the self-talk. Like if you're doing that and you feel that way about yourself, your kids feel that and see that and hear that. Exactly. Like for my kids, it's normal for me to work out. They'll come down with me sometimes. They'll ask me to run on the treadmill and like, God, I wish I saw that. Like I wish I saw that instead of like I can literally picture the cabinet with the pantry with like stacks of Slim Fast.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
and the Special K diet, remember that? Oh my God. Right?
Mhm.
So like I
Milk
can't
bars.
like I'm so happy. My kids talk about like protein and muscles and like, like all the fun, like goodness in the world and how this is just like a part like of mommy and daddy's life and your life. And it's just, yeah, it is rewire. And a lot of what I do, and I'm sure you do too, like it's not really just like the workouts. Like the workouts is like this much of it. It really is having the different self-talk and it all just kind of goes, the look, looking better, losing weight comes along with it, obviously, which is amazing. But
Mhm.
it is rewiring our brains and yeah, in this like chapter of motherhood.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's not just about looking good now. All those things are what's going to keep you looking good because it's one thing to drop the weight and get fit now. It's another to keep it, long term.
Like I'm thinking like grandkids. Like I want to be able to, I always joke with some of my clients that are like, in their 50s and 60s, like, is it too late? I'm like, you are going to be the fittest person in that nursing home. Like I want you bopping up and down. Like that is our goal, right? Like to be able to like do as much for ourselves and our loved ones independently for as long as we can.
Oh yeah, and it's never too late. I remember I had a client that was 85 that joined the gym for the first
Yeah,
time
well,
ever. And it's like,
literally isn't. And
no.
I bet you like there was definite like strides she was making.
Yep.
100%. I
There
love
was
that.
some incentive. She had met a younger man, but that's okay, but whatever gets you in.
Oh, get
But
yourself some. I mean, I hope that's me.
whatever,
Love
such a
it.
lovely soul. But, I think if somebody is, maybe in this I'll say postpartum, postpartum journey. That's typically when women tend to have a bit of an identity crisis. Prenatal, it's, when you're pregnant, there's so many things happening. We tend to go through a lot of shifts, but we really don't know what that next chapter is going to look like. But, if a woman's in this postpartum journey, what would be kind of the one or two little nuggets or tidbits you would want to tell them to kind of guide them on this health, wellness, fitness journey?
That it is possible, like to feel more like yourself. And you're not always going to feel this way if you're feeling in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I would just feel like this is how it's going to be. Like that negative self-talk, rumination, that there is help, whatever that looks like for whenever you're ready, whether that's a trainer or a therapist or I mean, God, like there's a million things like for what, like there is something on the other side. And also just to like meet yourself where you are and like, you know, at what capacity. Like maybe you just drink some more water and go for a couple walks. Like that's huge. The
Makes
walks will help you
sense.
mentally. It helps maintain, weight and helps with metabolism and just mood. And water is super important. Like just start small, just, make yourself a little chart, have an incentive if whatever that is at the end of the week, if you hit whatever goals, and don't try to do everything at once. Like you're taking care of little beings. You're sleep deprived and you can only do so much, and that's okay. Give yourself grace. That's a big one too.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's
It's hard.
really hard.
hmm you talk about rewiring, especially if you're like an overachiever. I'll also add on to that a little bit. It's just, a season of slowing down is not unproductive. Sometimes it is the most productive thing you can do. And, the season's a season for a reason. And if you're in that season of slow down, enjoy it, and don't try to fight it. That's okay. Because there's always going to be time to dedicate more and more time and energy and capacity, whatever that looks like. So
Yes.
that's from the heart. I needed to hear that too. All right. So if you're listening,
But I love it. We all need that reminder.
I think often people hear podcasts or it's like, we are still human. We still feel these things too, right? People are like, Shannon, you have the best of it. I'm like, because I've lived it.
Yeah, like, this is not right. My stories are coming from my stories, looking at myself postpartum, being like, oh my God. It's like, Allyson, you are 6 months postpartum. It like fine. Like you had a baby 6 months ago. It took 10 months just to cook it. Like you're okay. Take a minute, like you said, sit outside, get some sunshine on your face. Like that's your check mark for the day. You did it. Got some vitamin D. I love it.
Totally. Well, I love this conversation and I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your wisdom. If people wanted to find you, where can they find you?
Or my website is Strong by Siegel, all one word, SIEGEL.com. And my Instagram is strong_by_Siegel. Instagram is where I share most of my stuff and my daily life and my clients and all that. So that would be good.
Awesome. I will link those down below in the show notes so you can go check her out, give her some love. And, if you found this helpful, I would love to know. Shoot me a DM or shoot Allyson a GM too. Just let us know if you've got some good takeaways, or leave a review is always very helpful to reach more women as well. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you on the next show. Thank you,
Awesome. Thank
Allyson.
you for having me.
Bye.